Chrystelle.
Good
So glad to have you
morning,
here.
good afternoon. I'm not sure which time frame you. I think it's good afternoon after 12.
That's
I'm
correct.
very honored and glad to join and being invited by Captain Rajesh Narang. And thank you very much for letting me join to this meeting. And I gleaned some informations from Captain Rajesh, and I do agree that today, nowadays, I think everything changed in the industry. The way you approach it, it's not like the way I did approach it before, with a lot of willpower for sure, but a lot of help as well.
Great. Chrystelle, tell us something about yourself, how you started, and just give us a talk.
How did I start the adventure of the aviation is I got the virus when I was 17 in Africa, and then very quickly, briefly, I will go through it. I started class in the small club in Africa, and that's just when I realized that I loved to fly and be in the air, and the passion started there. And I convinced my dad to send me to the US. At that time, I was 18. I became a private pilot 8 months later, an instructor 21 years old, and I was a TPL at 26 years old. And then I went back to Africa. This is actually where I am. I grew up. I'm originally obviously French due to the accent. But yeah, I grew up in Africa, and I just went back there to find a job, and I couldn't find a job. So I start some real estate job because I had to live on something. And then war came, and I had to leave the Ivory Coast because the white people were chased away. And then I went back to the aviation in Europe this time. So I did the European ADPA license. To make it simple, I'm not sure what's your background in the aviation. So Rajesh, can you tell me ATPL, is it the terms that people are familiar with?
Yeah, yeah. These are university students. They have not yet started their flying training as such, but I'm sure it has come up a few times, the ATP license.
All right. So basically, I assimilate ATPL license as the third store house. First store is private, second store is the commercial pilot license, and the third store is ATPL. That's the GLAR. That's what we all look for because it's the key to work in the aviation. So I went for the European license, and then I went back to Africa, and that's when I became a bush pilot because there was no job around. In France, I had no chance to get a job. So I went to Africa, and I flew on a G1, which is a very, very old aircraft. Actually, nothing was working except the engines. And then I became a pilot of Fokker 28, and then I joined the national airlines. Finally, that was like after many, many years, and I became a pilot. I did my type rated on the Fokker 28 and then 321, the family, 320 family. And then that company bankrupt. And then I went to Senegal. We all went to Senegal airline. When I say we, is my ex-colleague from the Ivory Coast. So we joined Senegal airline, and they bankrupt. But I didn't wait for the bankruptcy. I applied everywhere around the planet. I went to Qatar, Emirates, and Etihad, and I knocked on the door. Etihad hired me, and then you know about Etihad, had many financial issue, and they had to let me go, as well as a lot of colleagues. So we were 2005 in 2018, and they are 800 today. And then I had the very big chance to meet Captain Rajesh and another colleague of us, Captain Binu. and that's the Sri Lankan Airlines, and up to today, they let us go as well, all the expat. So that's about it. That's my life, professionally.
What what is the toughest that you have found about first becoming a pilot? What was the toughest challenge?
Each and every stage has a stiffest point. It was obviously for me the English barrier. When I was a student in Texas, especially in Texas, they had a very, very heavy accent. So I was struggling with that. And then for the rest, it's common sense. Use common sense and be passionate with what you do, and you'll do just fine. And of course, you need to study and work and dedicate yourself into learning by heart items. But no, for me, it was more like the language barrier that I had to go. Yeah, and then it went fine.
Okay. And how about on flights? What do you find the most challenging?
The part where you're flying daytime and the next shift is night shift, nighttime, and then you have to handle your body, fatigue, the how do we call that? It's a gestion de la fatigue. Fatigue handle. Yeah, I think it's more like a physical part of it, because nowadays, companies are very demanding in terms of roster. They are using you as much as they will. I mean, they can, and they go push to the limit of the aviation limit, actually. So it's more like the fatigue. You have to be very strict with yourself and your body. You have medical every 6 months or a year, depending on the country. Physical exercise is a must. The way you feed yourself, you have to be careful. It's more like you are treating yourself as a racing car, if I may use that acronym.
Captain, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Being a woman pilot, what challenges do you face more often?
Thank you for the questions. Not sure your name is, I couldn't see you.
Sindhu, Captain.
Sindhu. Yes, hi. As a female, it's funny because most of my colleagues are calling me yes sir, or saying yes sir, because I guess the way I handle myself is very strict. So the fact that I'm a woman, it's not even I went to Saudi Arabia. Of course, when you do the walk around, you will have look, because my hair is out and I don't have anything that's covering my uniform. So yes, I will have looks. But then it's how you handle those looks. It's either you look at them back and you start, or you just completely ignore. That's the Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying they were Saudi Arabian people. It's just countries where women has to be covered. That's the only place where I could feel that as a woman, how weird you are here in this country. As far as Abu Dhabi, Dubai, all those places, I came from Africa and I'm thinking, I'm going to the United Arab Emirates and, I'm going to have to, be very careful. And not at all. Actually, I was the only one person out of all my batch that was selected to work for them. I mean, we were like roughly around 10, and they just selected the only woman of the batch. So there is no barrier as far as women, not anymore. But mainly because the way I handle myself is very male attitude. Yeah, you can tell on the face of a woman whether you can play around or you can start pushing me around. Yes, of course, sometimes you have to put your limits and establish your boundary. And once you've done one time, then it's finished. It's done. They will talk and they will. Yeah, they will pass the word, if I may use that term. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
To mention, I'm very petite. I'm tiny in terms of, so I'm very much like an Indian woman in terms of physical, like small, petite, and so I don't even have the physique of 101 meter and 80 to say like I'm coming and I don't weigh 100 kilos, and so I have physical not on my side as well. So it's more like attitude. Yes. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Myself, Saran Raj. Ma'am. I have a query for you, to you, ma'am. Like, it is visible that you have went through many challenges, many difficulties on getting through a proper pilot job. Like, what, apart from your passion, what made you run for it, ma'am? Because nowadays we have seen that many of the student pilots are being discontinued from the flying training school, stating that it is very difficult to study or it is very difficult to finish the training. But after your training, you struggled so many years that even after getting 2 or 3 jobs, you had to get out of the airlines, and finally you found a very proper job. What made you go through?
Okay. I must say one thing for you, all of you online students. The journey is fantastic. When I became a captain, I was like, that's it, I'm done. Of course, there is always like Captain Nahang, you can become an instructor and all that. But for a pilot to become a captain on an airline is what you work for all your career. For the minute of your first minute on the aircraft is to become a captain of with a 4-bar. Almost you want to tattoo those 4 bars when you become. So, but what I may say from the question you asked, all this very, you would say difficult, I say challenge. That's what makes the fun of it. Achieving the 4 bars with no fight defeat the purpose. Enjoy the journey, enjoy each check ride, type rated. It's the beauty of the aviation. It's to learn. And remember, every time you go on a flight, you will learn something. And the minute you stop learning, that's when you start degrading yourself. To answer, I believe the question was, sorry, I got off track. What the most difficult thing that I had to go through? Is that the question? Did I understood correctly, Captain Hajish?
Yes, ma'am. Like
Yeah.
I could feel it. Yes.
I don't consider it to be. So basically, what you want to know is what will be hard in your training. Nothing will be hard because you are dedicated and you will work hard. And if you fall, you just stand up again right away. Do not wait. You stand up again and you move forward, and it will happen. That's my answer. Because yeah, of course, a viewer, like when you arrive, it's a radial and ADF is like what this instructor is talking about. It's like in a 3-dimensional aircraft. And yes, of course, when you start the IFR, it's difficult. Instrument rating, it's difficult. Every time you learn something, it's difficult. But that's the beauty of it. It's learning. You learn a new sport. The fun of it is to learn. Once you get it, there's like, oof, done with it. What's next? And it's always what's next. And it's happened with your life as well. In your life, okay, married, what's next? Children, so I'm sorry. So let's get back to the aviation, please.
Yeah, ma'am. What should we require to get a job in international companies like Emirates, as you gone through it?
What's the requirement to become a pilot for Emirates? Basically, that's your questions.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you need? Stay home, stay in your hub, in your country. The journey is not worth it. You will not earn a lot more money. Of course, you will earn a big package, and they will take everything from you. From the minute you will join this company, then you will have a housing allowance that's going to be 3 times, 10 times, 15 times more than back home. So yes, you will earn a lot, and yes, you will spend a lot. And at the end of the month, the delta you will have in your pocket will be exactly the same amount if you would stay in your country. I learned it from my experience by staying in Etihad. And plus, one main point, and I'm sure Captain Nahan will agree with me, is the fact that you have no guilt makes a big difference. They can do whatever they want with you. They can just, fire you or made you redundant in 24 hours. And then you're far from home. Remember, I think that's a lesson that I learned. Family makes as well you a good pilot, because you have to be mentally balanced, physically balanced and mentally balanced. And being far from home, it takes a toll on you. And the money is not worth it. And they will work you so hard, pretty much as if you stay in and fly for Indigo. We all know Indigo is very difficult, but you're home. You can pick your base and you'll be home. And if you can combine family and job and stay, we had a very good instructor in Sri Lankan airline, and he was very proud of telling us, I've been in Sri Lankan airline for the past 40 years. And I looked at him, I'm like, well, lucky you, because if I had the choice to stay in Africa and earn a tenth of what I've earned in Etihad, I would have stayed back home, because that's what is important. Yeah, that's what I can say.